Whenever a new expansion drops, it can always be super scary deciding what class to play or main first. So many questions would race through your head like, is there going to be enough variety so I don't get bored? Are there going to be good inside of PvP dungeons or raids? Am I going to have fun with them in the first phase? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. My name is Sky, and today we're going to be breaking down the safest classes to pick overall in Season of Discovery based on the class specs right now, gameplay variety, and the way they are looking to perform. Now, if you're making a list off of classes that are safe in Season of Discovery, there is no way you're not going to add Druid to that list. And vanilla World of Warcraft, the Druid wasn't the best class by any means, but they always had incredible versatility. Come Season of Discovery, however, there are some incredible additions to every spec to make them all very strong in PvP and PvE. Bear tanks got Survival of the Fittest and Lacerate to be much more tanky and deal more single target DPS to generate more threat. Feral DPS is going to have a seriously deep rotation with managing Savage Roar, Mangle for bleed amplification, Tiger's Fury, and Power Shifting for energy regeneration. Feral is going to absolutely pump the meters when it comes to a raiding environment. Then you had what was once a meme spec with Balanced Druid, now getting some incredible additions like 0 mana cost of Wrath, Moonfire and Sunfire damage over time effects, and even Star Surge being added into their rotations. No longer will you be a meme as a caster DPS with a balanced Druid. And finally, you have Restoration, which got even more healing than before with Living Seed, Life Bloom, and potentially instant healing touches when you are casting Wrath to do some DPS. Every single one of those specs were lackluster previously, but now they're going to come out of the gate swinging harder than ever. Not only that, you have 4 different options to choose from, giving you a wide variety of gameplay styles, ensuring you that you will never get bored playing just one of them. Inside of PvP, Druids now have more consistent interrupts with Skull Bash, and balanced Druids even have more potential of kiting and dealing direct damage over time with using spells like Moonfire, Sunfire, and Insect Swarm. Feral Druids are going to be absolutely shredding backline with the rework of Tiger's Fury and Mangle being added to their toolkit, putting them in a very similar spot to how they were played in Wrath of the Lich King. And finally, in Battlegrounds, Restoration is going to be one of the best healers due to having high mobility and incredible spread healing with all their healing over time effects like Rejuvenation, Regrowth, Life Bloom, and Wild Growth. In Phase 1, the Druid as a whole is going to dominate due to the flexibility of how the rune system works and how you can change them completely on the fly. If you're looking for a safe class that can really do it all with a wide variety of gameplay styles, which include melee and range DPS, healing, and even tanking, it's no doubt that the Druid can be for you. Now, what could be a better safe pick than the class that was the best overall in World of Warcraft Classic? By the later phases, the Warrior was the best DPS in the entire game and by far the #1 tank. With Season of Discovery, you're going to see some incredible changes with all 3 of these specs and advancing Warrior into a later feeling expansion state. You're going to have many damage amplifiers such as Flagellation, which increases your physical damage done by 25% after activating Blood Rage or Berserker Rage, Endless Rage to generate 25% more rage overall to vastly increase your damage, and even Consumed by Rage, so when you save all of your resources, you have a ginormous damage boost window to easily top those meters. On top of that, if you think Protection isn't going to be the best raid tank again, you got another thing coming. On top of all their incredible defensive capabilities and natural damage mitigation, you now have Devastate, which allows your Sunder Armor ability to deal massive weapon damage and even become increased per application of Sunder Armor you already have on the target. And you even have the opportunity to use Thunderclap in any stance you want, bringing you some nice AoE threat generation. If you got questions about PvP, it's time we answer them for you. Everyone knows that Warriors are wrecking balls as it is, but they officially just got Warbringer, which will allow them to charge in combat and remove all movement impairing effects on them when they do. You have more weapon attacks than ever, more mobility, rage generation. It seems as if no one in the game is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with you in melee combat as a Warrior. Combine that with a couple of healers, you're going to be an unstoppable force inside of Battlegrounds in open world PvP. Even Protection Warriors are going to be viable with Devastate, constant interrupts and Shield Bash, and massive damage mitigation to pick up the flag in Warsong Gulch and keep it away from the enemy team. The Warrior excels specifically when enemies don't have a lot in their toolkit to deal with them yet. And with everyone being capped at level 25 in Season of Discovery, no one's going to be able to stop a Warrior from staying on top of them nearly 24/7, with constant charges and hamstrings keeping them close. If you're looking for a safe melee class in Season of Discovery, look no further because the Warrior is going to be ripping people's heads off in the first phase. Moving on to number 3 now, we have the Judgment Executioner, the Paladin. Alright, I know Retribution and Protection Paladin were a big meme in classic World of Warcraft, But there's no class in the entire game that got more crucial additions to their specs than the Paladin in Season of Discovery. Retribution Paladin got massive changes with them adding spells like Crusader Strike, Divine Storm, and the ability to cast Exorcism on all enemy types. Protection Paladin now has an actual taunt, Avenger Shield, and Seal of the Martyr for nice AoE DPS, and Holy Paladin's got the absolutely broken Beacon of Light ability and Exemplar to dispel fear and sleep on your party members inside of raids. The entire Paladin class is going to feel brand new inside of World of Warcraft Season of Discovery compared to their classic counterpart. With all three specs being reworked, you already know in PvP they're looking to seek Judgment. Them keeping all of their utility with all their bubbles, blessings, buffs, heals, and combining that with all their brand new additions, they should easily be miles ahead of many of the other competition. Ret has actual on-demand bursts now to combine with their RNG seals and even Wreck Bomb specs. Holy can heal 2 allies at once with massive Holy Lights and be incredibly durable with all their heavy armor and stuns. And who knows, maybe even Protection Paladin could perform well with having Avenger Shield and Crusader Strike being able to hold off people on their own. The Paladin is looking to be incredibly fun inside a Season of Discovery with having all three different role types with DPS, tank, and healer, and there's no doubt they are going to be making this list. Moving on to number 4, we have the Mage. With now being given a 4th spec option with the opportunity to heal, there really is a gameplay style for everyone with this class. Fire Mage got incredible additions like Burnout for 15% more chance to crit and Living Bomb for some damage over time and AoE damage. Arcane Mage got an actual rotation with Arcane Blast and Arcane Surge from Dragonflight being added to the table to give them vastly increased mana regeneration, and even Frost Mage got some love with Fingers of Frost, Icy Veins, and Ice Lance. We already knew that Mage in PvP was an absolute problem in Classic WoW, but now things just feel like they're getting out of hand. Frost Mage keeps all of their CC with now having Fingers of Frost and Ice Lance for some incredible shatter combos when enemies don't even need to be inside of a Frost Nova. Arcane Mage should be dealing great damage if they have some frontline to protect them with casting Arcane Blast and missiles at the enemy backline. And Fire Mage should be pumping out chunky Pyroblast and heavy damage over time effects with their burns and living bombs. Could you imagine also trying to take down a mage that's healing for an enemy team? I mean, you'll never be able to touch them with all their slows, roots, polymorphs, blinks. It's going to be impossible to stay on top of a mage healer. If you ever played Mage in Classic World of Warcraft, get ready because all three of their specs look even stronger than ever and are expected to dominate in PvP and PvE content. Moving on to our 5th and final class, it's going to be the Warlock. The Warlock makes an incredible case for the class that has the highest damage potential in the entire game. Tons of spells and additions that were made to the class, and even a brand new spec with you having the opportunity to be a tank as a Warlock. Destruction Warlock in particular got some game-changing abilities, like having the addition of one of the hardest hitting spells in World of Warcraft history, Chaos Bolt. On top of that, they have spells like Incinerate to amplify their damage, as well as Lake of Fire to amplify their area of effect damage by 40% when you pair it with Hellfire. Both of these together are massive damage amplifiers overall, and you're going to be pumping on Destruction. On top of that, Affliction Warlock's got some key additions like Haunt, which will increase your shadow damage over time effects on the target by 20%, Soul Siphon, which will increase your Drain Life and Drain Soul abilities by 18% based on the amount of damage over time effects you have on the target, and even Demonology now has the opportunity to be a tanking spec with the brand new Metamorphosis spell being implemented. This spell isn't like you remember though. It turns you into a tank, increasing your armor by 500%, increasing your threat generation, adding a wide variety of spells into your toolkit, and giving you the opportunity to become a hellish Warlock tank for the first time in WoW's history. And that's not it at all, because in PvP, Warlocks are going to be easily one of the strongest out there. With spell additions like Master Channeler to passively cast Drain Life on targets over 15 seconds, a ton of CC with Fears, Mortal Coils, and massive damage with Chaos Bolts, this class is going to be a problem for anyone out there in a 1v1. If you're looking for a caster that's goal is to rot down enemies with damage over time effects and dark magic, or completely obliterate them with some of the hardest hitting spells in the entire game like Chaos Bolt, or even summon demonic forces to do your bidding, then the Warlock class can definitely be for you. Season of Discovery is going to be an awesome opportunity for you to decide what your first character is going to be in a brand new World of Warcraft universe based off of the classic game. This is pretty much Classic Plus, and it's bringing incredible changes that are going to heavily influence how every class is played from here on out. We're just a few days away, and we here at the Combat Kids are so excited to be playing with you all very, very soon. If you're interested in joining us and exploring the mystical lands of Azeroth inside of Season of Discovery, please be sure to like and subscribe, and try to hop into our Discord server. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all, Until the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.